Verdi had a son. His tour life might be done. Little baby took away his fun. What did Eddie Frasco do? He left it inside of you. And 9 months later, he had a little baby boy. Eats mushrooms, kid does homework, baby bottles filled with Jameson. His life will never be the same. Then he had a son. Vandy had a son, doing puzzles instead of bumps. His tour life might be done. Thank God Andy doesn't have a son. You got to wrap it up. At least pull out. At least pull out.
All right, and we're back. Andy Frasco's World Saving Podcast. I'm Andy Frasco, live from another airport hotel. God damn it. Oh, my God. The Bert Kreischer fully loaded cruise. Shout out to Bert motherfucking Kreischer and Leanne Kreischer. Wow. Birdie Boy Productions. Unbelievable. That was one of the times of my life. For real, that was one of the best experiences of my life. You know, I'm a big comedy fan. I'm obsessed with comedy. I love just being around comics. I love being in the atmosphere. I love just fucking sitting at a table and watching them riff and trying to get a couple zingers in as well. And that was one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life. You know, it's like, you know, I am a musician. You know, I'm a musician. I consider myself a songwriter and stuff. It's hard to be accepted in this musician world because I'm not really, you know, like I grew up in the jam scene and shit, and I'm not really like a fucking soloist or like fucking didn't go to Berkeley School of fucking Music or whatever the fuck ever. I am, you know, I learned from the frontmans of the world and the comedians of the world, the Chappelles. You know, that's how I learned how to entertain. So sometimes it's hard for me to, you know, be accepted and to be with a group of musicians or a group of comedians who totally just understood what I'm trying to do and trying to wake people up. It was fucking awesome. So shout out to all the comedians: Big J, Pete Lee, Catherine Banford, Mark Norman, Bert Kreischer, Felipe. I mean, we have so many. I interviewed all these people. We have so many good podcasts coming up with real deal comedians. Get ready, buckle up, because this is some funny fucking podcast and some real shit. I mean, comedians, they're dark as fuck, man. They are dark. Heavy shit goes down that, you know, they're laughing about. But you know, a lot of them are tortured, and to laugh through the torture, the pain, is what makes them so fucking great and so fucking brilliant. So I can't wait for you to hear these. But the cruise was amazing, man. It was fucking wild. It wasn't as much drugs, you know, like I think like it's not like Jam Cruise or something where, you know, people are fucking smuggling, you know, kilos of cocaine or fucking Molly or ketamine on the thing. It was more like everyone was drinking. It wasn't like everyone staying up till 5 a.m. I mean, we would go up to Bert's like penthouse, and we'd always go up to Bert's penthouse at around 11 and hang out till about 2 and just fucking pound booze and just talk and laugh and smoke cigars and watching Mark. Mark Norman, man, he could fucking drink. Shout out to Mark. I was going round and round with Mark Norman. That motherfucker could drink some booze and like just bounce back and just kind of like shrug his shoulders like, whatever, another day in the fucking office. I'm like, damn, these guys could really pound it. And Birdie, man, I'm telling you, Bert Kreischer, maybe you don't like dig his comedy or whatever, but you got to dig his fucking work ethic. Holy shit. My man was everywhere. You know? It made me feel like he's like the Don King of fucking comedy. Like he is such a machine. Like no pun intended. He is a promoting machine. He gets everyone where they need to go. He's out there supporting every act on the fucking bill. I saw him everywhere. You know, it was like he came to our show. He was singing and crying. And he told the cruise line that he wants Dancing Around My Grave playing like every hour on the set, if where people could just know that song and, you know, feel that song. We were the last thing that played on the cruise, and it was so fucking special to see a dude like that just really care about the young bands and really care about all his acts. Like, you know, he's an arena band and he's bringing all his homies like Big J Okerson. Holy shit, that guy should be way more famous than he is. He brings all his friends out and just supports them, and we're all like a gang. We were in this group text, and I just couldn't believe I was in this fucking group text. I was like, holy shit, these guys are just riffing off each other. Jim Norton, holy shit, dude. It was just legendary. I was like trying to keep up, and you know, it's like I got some singers. You know, I don't consider myself a fucking comedian, but I'm a good shit talker, and that's all those group texts are with these comedians are just shit talking, and I just felt right at home. So shout out to all the comedians. Catherine Banford, I fucking love her. Like I got a huge crush on her. Like wow, oh my god, me and her like are identical. I loved Felipe. Felipe is coming on the podcast. I think he's on next week. We got Mark Norman and Johannes Pappas together on that one. We got Carter Cruz, the porn star, now DJ. That's Bert's like DJ for all the Fully Loaded tours. She's on the pod, and I got Catherine Banford. I mean, we got a bunch of comedians, and we're gonna be doing Are You Garbage? The people off Are You Garbage? Jay Okerson's gonna do the show. I mean, we got a lot of comedians coming in. I love the jam scene. Don't get me wrong, but these guys know how to podcast. Musicians are kind of shy, you know. I mean, not Brent Cobb. Brent Cobb, with the one you're about to listen to. Brent Cobb is fucking honest. He's like one of my. You know how much I love Brent Cobb. I always talk about his songs. He's on the pod this week, and he was actually talking. Man, we were drinking beers, and it was like 10 a.m. He started pounding some Miller Lights. I'm like, fuck it, I'll go with you. So, that's gonna be a great podcast. But it's nice that now you're gonna have a little more comedians now with the music. I'm not going to abandon my people, you know, my jam scene and all my songwriters, but it's going to be nice to, you know, fill in now we're in with the comedy people that we're going to get all these big comedy acts on the podcast too. So it's going to be a mixture of everything, a little hosh posh. I just got to get some athletes more athletes who like, trip dick and shit. Like Ricky Williams and and Jake Plummer, and we'll be a full circle podcast. But it was the best experience. It was so much fun. I did drop a lot of money though. I get so excited, like I just want to buy everyone drinks. Like they give you free drinks, like Bertie. We could go up to Bert's penthouse and like build yourself some cocktails or whatever. But I didn't want to be a mooch. You know, I'm new to the crew. I didn't want to be the guy like, oh, there's Frasco again, fucking taking all the booze. So I bought some drinks. You know, I was hanging out at the casino. The casino was popping, dude. I mean, Bert's fans, man, they are fun as fuck, dude. Everyone's nice. There's no ego. You know, I could tell because you know, Bert's like the underdog in the comedy scene. You know, he's not a Segura. He's not like one of these, but he's funny as fuck and he's real as fuck and he's just so genuine. The last day was Bert's birthday, and they're all texting in the group text like, come on, we're gonna surprise Bert with a birthday cake, and his wife is so sweet. I'm having Leanne on the podcast here soon. I'm gonna jump on her podcast too. And just everyone was just so supportive. Like group text, like, hey guys, we're all going to Jay Okerson, let's go. Hey guys, Miss Pat's playing in the theater, let's all go together. Let's all hang out, sit out together. I'm like, damn, this is fucking community. And and I bring all this up is like, if you don't feel like you have a community, don't worry. Keep looking. It might take you forever. Like, just because you're 40 or 50 or 30 or 20, maybe you've had your same friends forever and you want to try something new, You can't try something new. There will be friends for you as an adult. Stop thinking that you won't have friends as an adult. You'll have new friends that actually, that fit your mold and stuff. And so what I was saying is that if you don't feel like you have a community, you'll find it. You'll find your tribe. Just keep looking, keep talking, keep being vulnerable, keep being yourself, and you'll magnetize to the people who will magnetize to you. The sets are fun. It took a while. The first set was kind of dead because no one knew. It was pretty amazing. Like no one knew who we were. There was maybe 5 or 10 people of our fans because it sold out so quickly before I was even able to promote the fest to my fans, all my fro heads and fro ambassadors and stuff, that I couldn't really get any of my fans on the boat. So I was working with a brand new crowd, which is fun because I could do all my old school tricks, crowd surfing and fucking bar mitzvahs and yada yadas. And it's completely new to them. And so it was kind of like a tidal wave. Like first show was pretty dead, and then Bert came and was jamming out, and all of a sudden a swarm of people followed Bert into he brought so many. He's like, everybody, we're going to Frasco, and he brought this herd of Bert fans to our set, and he threw at a party, and it was like his first time drinking in 90 days. And he looks good. Shout out to Bertie. I mean, he was looking hot. He lost 40 pounds or something. He's looking buff. And it was just fun as fuck. And Leanne was giving me a big hug saying, thank you. You're one of Bert's favorite bands. And it was just so genuine. And all the comedians, I first got nervous, hanging out with, I get intimidated with comedians, but I was texting Todd, are all these guys nice? Because I never really know any of the people on the cruise. I knew a couple, but I've never seen their acts. I never really hung out with them. And I was texting Todd Glass. I'm like, yo, all these guys are on the boat. Are they cool? Can I have a conversation with them? It's these guys are the coolest people out there, real comedians, work dogs like me, they've been in the clubs for 15 years, 20 years, some of them, 10 years, some of them. And just grinding it out like you. So I was that's why I kind of got a little less nervous with the whole situation. Put my shoulders down and said, all right, I'm gonna approach all these people. And they were cool as fuck. God damn it. Okay, Dialed In gummies. Grab yourself some Dialed In gummies. They are the best gummies on the planet. I mean, I had them. I love them. Oh, and they helped me sleep when I was having acid reflux. And I was burping up a little bit. I took a little Dialed In gummy. Boom, I'm back. They're from Denver, so if you're in the Denver area, go grab yourself some. It started to snow. I saw fucking Denver snowing. I'm it got 6 inches already. I'm fuck, winter. I have a feeling all my Denver people, this winter's gonna be fucking bad, y'all. So buckle up. So grab yourself some Dialed In gummies. Winter is ahead of us. Beautiful. Denver's beautiful in the wintertime. Beautiful in the fall. I love Denver. It's a sweet town. But Denver's really beautiful in the wintertime. If you guys want to come out there, all the people who listen to podcasts who aren't from Denver, get down there. Come to the wintertime. Come hang out. We're playing the Ogden. We just announced the fucking Ogden, baby. Let's do it. The 10th Mountain Division. It's going down. Buy your tickets. We already almost I think we're 1/3 sold out already. You guys fucking slam those tickets on day one. I'm thank you so much. Let's go. My people. Gang, gang for shizzle. Gang, gang. So if you want to fly out to our Ogden show, it's always fun. It's a hometown show for me. So I go extra hard because I know my house is literally 3/4 a mile from the fucking Ogden. So I'll go extremely hard for you. And maybe we'll throw a house party at my house. I did that last time. My neighbor was pissed, but I had 150 people inside my house. I'm everyone don't go outside. I had 50 people smoking cigarettes. It was it felt like the 90s. It was awesome. I love smoking inside, but it just fucks up my house, and it takes a couple days for it to air out until you can't smell the smoke. So I won't be smoking cigarettes inside, but maybe we'll smoke in the garage. So grab yourself some Dialed In gummies. Wow, what a promo. And if you guys want to watch this, Brent Cobb is the coolest. Head to volume.com right now. Go watch it on volume.com. It's the best live streaming website on the planet as well. great sponsors. They have a great team. If you're a content creator and want to get involved in live stream, just go to volume.com/creator, and you will you get to have their team. Constantine's great, Ben's great, Marleno's great. It's a good team that'll help you, develop your live streams. If you're in a band, I know there's a shit ton of bands out there traveling. It's fall. It's cannibalism out there. I know. I see it from my ticket sales. Like some of these, there's so many fucking bands playing in each city now. And there's not enough money to go around with the fans. Everyone's broke right now. So I know people are out there on the road. Stay strong, guys. I know if you probably see your ticket sales, you're like, oh, it's kind of scary. Don't worry. Keep fighting the good fight. And you might as well make some extra income. So go on volume.com and get your shows on live stream. So if people can't afford to actually go to your shows, they can still watch your music, from the comforts of their home. So head to volume.com. And if you're not a content creator and you just want to watch all these awesome live shows, or I have all my videos, podcast videos stockpiled on this page. We took them down on YouTube. That's why if you're wondering, like, why aren't they on YouTube anymore? They're only on volume.com. So if you want to see me and Nick's happy mugs or just me in the interview that I'm doing, head to volume.com. All right, guys. Brent Cobb. Chris, play some Brent Cobb. God, oh my God. Play Digging Holes. I know he has a new record out, and the new record's amazing, but Digging Holes, play Digging Holes, Chris. This song is my life story. I don't know why. I just love this song so fucking much. Brent's the man. He's one of Nashville's premier songwriters. He writes for everyone, and he's been a workhorse. He's a solo singer-songwriter as well. He writes his own songs for himself. He writes for other people. I'm trying to get in the studio with him. I'm trying to finish my record. I got 9 songs done. I need about 5 more. So I'm going to head to Nashville when this tour is done, like January, February. I'm going to try to write a couple with my boy Brent. But great guy from Georgia. Amazing voice. Amazing lyricist. He went on tour with Chris Stapleton, Luke Combs. He's been doing it forever, and I'm so proud that he's fucking getting the recognition he deserves because he is one of the GOATs. And we all have our demons. We all don't think we're worthy, but I'm telling you right now, Brent, you're fucking worthy of greatness. So go get him, buddy. All right, guys, enjoy your time. I'm gonna get on a plane to Europe right now. I got first class. I can't believe it. I got upgraded. Oh, my God. All this hard work is paying off. All right, guys. Stay happy, and I will see you next week. Who's on the show? Oh, we got Felipe Esparza. Oh, my God. You're going to love this one. This guy's fucking crazy, and he's just had a crazy life. He won Last Comic Standing. He's from Los Angeles. He's got a podcast called What's Up, Food? Mexican dude from LA is the man. All right. You're going to love it. And all right. Catch you next week. Wow, Brent motherfucking Cobb.
You damn right. What you know, man?
How's it going, bro? Big year for you.
Well, yeah, you know what they say, man. It's like the 19th year, man. That's the one. But like the one where it all works out.
I hear that. Like I've been doing it for 15 years, and I'm finally, it's finally happening. So it's like, God damn it.
I tell a half joke at my shows that goes, it's only taken me almost 20 years to get to the bottom. I'm just glad to be here.
I love it, man. I want to talk a little bit. Let's talk. I got a bunch of things I want to ask you. First, Digging Holes is my favorite song. Probably the most played song I've had for the last 2 years. Tell me a little bit about Digging Holes before we get into the new music, and I want to talk about your life before that. But give me what was going on?
Well, that day, so you know a little bit of, about the songwriting lifestyle in Nashville. Like the industry is, if you're a staff writer on Music Row, you go in, you co-write, your publisher books you with a bunch of different people to co-write with all the time. And those first couple years, so I signed that first publishing deal in 2009. And I was like, man, whore me out. I want to write doubles and triples every day, 7 days a week. I want to get some shit going. And well, one of those rights was with this guy named Casey Wood. And Casey walks in, I walk in, we both were married, and or I might not have been quite married yet. Maybe I was, I don't remember. But um, we were both in the doghouse, so to speak, at the time, and we were, we were relating with each other about that, and then he was telling that his brother, he's from West Virginia, and he's talking about his brother was a coal miner, and he's a songwriter too. And I was like, well, does he do it? And he said, no, man, he's a great songwriter, but he's real good at digging holes. And when he said that, after all the shit that we had been talking about, he was like, well, damn, so are we, man. Yeah, we've been digging ourselves in our own little holes. And I was like, we got to write that. And and immediately, just kind of, it all fell out, man. We hung out for 3 hours, but we wrote that song in about 30 minutes. And he and I both loved Chris Knight. And so the original version was like written way more in the key of Chris Knight, just hanging on to that. And so that's how it all started with that one.
When you're doing all these co-writes, so like, is it kind of like a therapy session where you're trying to figure out, like, while you're talking and communicating with each other, trying to get that one line to start the song? Because you do so many in 3 days, in a day you'll do like 3 writes in a day. It's like, how do you got to find inspiration?
It is that I'll say for me, I have never lost I never lost the love of just writing songs by myself and for myself. And honestly, I'm really, most of the time, sometimes there'll be a real special one that'll pop out, and then it'll be inspiring. Most of the time, I don't know if it's because I'm on the spectrum or what, but I can't wrap my head around someone else's idea sometimes. Right. But also because I know my idea is good. And so I'll bring in, like a half a verse and a chorus or something. And then I'm not stingy about it. I don't mind, also, as you I'm sure are aware, the second verse is always the hardest verse to write.
Right.
And so sometimes I can get lazy. Like if I'll get a great first verse and a first chorus, then I go, okay, well that's enough for now. And then I may not. I'm just too lazy. That second verse is the hardest verse to write, but it's always the best fucking verse if you can force yourself to write. And so with the co-writing deal, for a lot of people, yeah, it's probably like therapy. It's a little bit like therapy for me, but more than anything, it's getting someone else who will not let me be lazy and help me let's just fucking write the second verse and call it a song.
You ever get like by the third session, like, fuck this, I just want to go back to my wife and just like,
man, that's why that's all my life, most every day is, I never, I don't care to tour at all. I love writing and I can't help. I write for myself. It's just what I have to write. I would always write. Even I just, I'll go on tour for 6 weeks and come home. And the first thing I do once we get the kids to bed is sit back on the recliner and pick up the acoustic and start writing again. It's just what I do. And, I get burned out on the co-write things. Well, I come to Nashville probably a week out of every month if I'm not touring and co-write still for other people. But even then, I'm still always, I'm really have shot myself in the foot because of this. Because I've never had a big, huge single. I've had a lot of cuts, but because I can only write for myself, apparently, I don't get a lot of cuts. But yeah, by that third write of the day, I always hope that it's with a friend of mine, like Adam Hood or Aaron Ratier or somebody that I can just, man, fuck this. Let's just go have some beers and the songs will come. We must live for now.
Yeah, I've written a couple with Aaron and Adam, and Aaron is one of the most genius minds out there, man. It is so wild, dude. Your cousin Dave Cobb, he's Grammy-winning country producer. He did Wheeler Walker too, which I loved all the records he did with Wheeler. I heard this great story where you met him at a funeral. So like,
Yeah.
were you close? Were you not close with him when you were a child? Like, how did you guys like
No,
connect?
we didn't know each other at all. Dave is like 12 years older than I am, and his dad, Dave Sr., was the only Cobb that he was born and raised in Richland, Georgia, which is where I'm from. And we have a ton of family down there, the Cobbs. But Dave Sr., was the only Cobb that was like, I'm getting the hell out of here. And so he packed up and moved to Savannah. And then, so Dave was raised in Savannah, Georgia, which is the complete opposite side of the state. And we just never knew each other growing up. And then at that funeral, it was his grandmother and my great aunt. So Dave and I are, I don't know what technically is like third cousin removed or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And so we met at this funeral, and I was a pallbearer in the funeral. Word had gotten around the funeral, though, that we had this distant cousin of ours who was a big time LA record producer, that he would be at this funeral, and all the family is musical. And so after the funeral, I arrogantly, and skeptically we were all hanging out, and I was like, so I hear you're a big time record producer. What have you produced? And Dave humbly, but I say humbly, but now that I know him and I've known him for, 16 years, he's just real good at pretending to be humble, And he's
those boys. I'm from LA.
He's
I know
also
those boys.
But he was like, I did this and that, and I just produced this album by Shooter Jennings called "Put the O Back in Country," and this is 2005. And so when he said that, I was kind of blew my mind. And I just made this little 6-song acoustic demo. Shamelessly gave him that after his grandmother's funeral, and then his wife talked him into listening to it on the way to the Atlanta airport, and thankfully, and he graciously, a couple of days later, I was working for a tree service crew at the time. I'd just gotten off work, and the house phone rings. I didn't have a cell phone at the time, and me and my buddy had just got done smoking a joint. And I pick up the phone, and Dave goes, "Hey man, it's your cousin Dave. We met at Grandma's funeral, and I listened to your demo. I played it for Shooter. He's actually sitting here with me. We want to fly you to LA and record an album." And I was looking at my buddy like,
what the fuck?
Like it was insane. And so that's how it all started.
Holy.
And that's 2000.
Let's fucking go, Brent. At the funeral. Just fucking networking, baby. I could...
You gotta shoot your shots,
I could just see you just holding the casket. Yo, Dave!
What have you done, man?
I got those five...
Your grandma lived her whole life. What have you done, Dave?
It's so funny. It's like... It's amazing those, it's like, rest in peace, grandma, your aunt, but like, you never know when you're going to have the balls or courage to talk to someone to help you with your career,
Well, it's one of those things that, well, not only do you not know when you'll ever have the opportunity, but you don't know if you'll ever have the opportunity again.
Right.
And especially when you're from the area that I'm from, there ain't shit going on. Yeah. And I never considered realistically being able to make a career out of music. I just did it. I just wrote, and I played in bands on the weekends, and I didn't know how to ever really do it. And then, I met old Dave.
Do you think, like, going back to when you were a kid and your dad got offered that record deal and he didn't take it to be a family man, do you think that kind of like paved the way of how you thought about you'll never make it in the music industry when you're a kid? Or how is that? How did you you think so?
I think that, thanks for knowing that. I think that, well, if nothing else, it helped me. But I think it helped me to know that maybe I could. I didn't know how, but then it has perhaps held me back some, because I always wanted to have a family. I wanted to have kids, and probably because my dad, that's what he chose to do, is be a good dad. And so I am perpetually conflicted on, man, my daddy didn't tour and he stayed at home, and then here I am. But I can't say no to Luke Combs stadium tours, or
Right.
Chris 3 years with Stapleton, or Maren Morris, or Robert Earl Keen, or I'd be crazy to say no to these things. But if nothing else, his decision that early on for sure has influenced me as far as feeling. I just feel guilty all the time. You know what I mean? It's just like, fuck. Yeah.
Do you feel guilty that you got more successful than your dad?
No, we got such a cool relationship, and he's way better than I am. He's like a real entertainer, and he can sing his ass off. And I didn't get really any of that. I can sing the way I sing. But I'm a songwriter. I say I'm a songwriter singer, not a singer songwriter. But Daddy always too, when all these opportunities started to present themselves, like the very first one with Dave and Shooter, he he is a spiritual man, and he goes, I feel like the reason why you're getting these opportunities partly is because he made the right decision. And so he still gets to vicariously live his dream even through my success, which is cool as shit to me. You know, like when I made the grand debut 2017, I had him come up and sing that song Country Bound that he wrote in 1992, you know, that kind of stuff.
Is it hard to give away your songs to other people? Like, say, like when you did that Luke Combs or Luke Bryan or Miranda Lambert, like, is that hard? Or do you like get maybe like, fuck, that song I just could have kept that for my own career, you know?
No, I mean, not really. I still get paid for it.
Yeah,
but
let's go.
You know,
let's go.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
Not as much as, you know, if my career if I'd have gotten Tailgate Blues cut 10 years earlier, I would not be touring right now. But
it's true.
You know, I like the old school way of like me and Bobby McGee or Sunday Morning Coming Down, you know, like 12 different versions of those songs. And back then it seemed like everybody just took great songs and they'd record their own versions of them. And so I like that sort of community of artistry. And so no, it's never been, as long as I'm getting compensated, it's not a problem.
Yeah, I feel that. What about like, why do you think the music industry changed like that? Because it was so cool when everyone was like playing each other's songs and like everyone had their own version of a great song. Like, why are we so holding the song so tightly per artist now?
I do not know. It's a strange unwritten rule, though, that is obvious. There was an obvious change in there sometime in the mid 2000s. It seems like maybe in the 90s that, like, I don't know what happened. I don't know why people don't do that anymore. I think it's great when they do.
Yeah, I agree too. It's like I love when I was hearing, like, you know, anyone sing, like, you know, all these old soul songs and just made it their own version. It's just been, I miss that in music.
Well, yeah, great songs, many lives.
Right.
You know, I wish we had more of that going on. I don't know what the deal is. It's the same thing with like these huge radio commercial artists, and they have to all be co-writers on these songs these days.
Yeah.
Why in the heck? When did that happen? You know what I mean? Like, we're already not making any money anymore as songwriters. So now we're going to make even.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Yeah. Or like when there's 10 guys in a room. It's like, what the fuck? Everyone's going to get 10% or what? Like, it's just like the music industry is weird, man. It's like there's not enough money to go around. So everyone has to get their fucking pennies off that big hit.
But it is funny, though, because not only is there's not enough money going around, but especially there's like no money going around for songwriting. So it's funny that people would want to be songwriters, which it's a weird clash, isn't it? Because part of it, I think, is they want the cred to where they're like, we're real. I'm writing my own songs. I'm not just recording great songs. And But then you go, well, that's fucking cool, man, except there's no fucking money already. And now you're taking a third of nothing.
Right.
And so, I don't know.
So what's your take on like Spotify royalties and stuff as a songwriter?
As a songwriter, it sucks.
Yeah.
If I was just, that's part of why I'm touring, and why I continue to put my own albums out. As a songwriter, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because I came up in a time as an artist, whatever, as the person singing the songs, that where radio was king, and you had to be on radio to be exposed to anybody at all.
Right.
But then I watched it grow and the internet grow, and it morphed into this deal, where you have Spotify and you have Apple Music and all these streaming services now, that Amazon, that has taken, so somebody, an independent like myself, who I'm not getting on radio. I did that, tried to do that for 3 years. It just doesn't work for what I write. But luckily, because of those streaming services, I have this great foundation fan base, and I'm able to go anywhere and play music for people who show up and know the songs. And so, and then they're hopefully going to buy some merch, and they're paying for tickets, obviously. Still not going to make any money as a songwriter, though. And so it's terribly wonderful.
Yeah. Well, and then also, like, you got to realize, like, the other game is merch, especially
Right.
like what was your mind going through when you're getting these offers for these stadium tours? Like Combs, like Stapleton, like what? You're like, what the fuck? So I was watching your Instagram, dude, and like seeing you in these fucking, and you're what, one of four, or were you like two of four, or like were you the first band on the bill or second?
The first of four on the main stage. So we played real early. It was like 20-minute set. On the Stapleton stuff, it was first of three, and then it was second of three. But it was, I'll say this, it was first of all, opportunities that I can't say no to. There are people that just like would die to have these opportunities. And it seems to happen every time that I'm about ready to be like, you know what, fuck touring and all this bullshit. I'm going to go be a dad. Every time I get ready to do that, I get some crazy opportunity, and which is amazing. And I'm grateful. Can't you tell? But it's
I fucking love you, Brent. You're honest. It's true.
The thing is, like, the Combs thing was amazing. I met Luke in 2014. It was one of those times. My daughter had just been born, and I had been touring for 6 years, and I decided to not tour for indefinitely. I didn't know if I would ever tour again. And I had a friend of mine who said, man, I got a buddy that just moved to town. He's a big fan of yours. He just wants to hang out with you and like have a beer and ask you some questions. Would you be into that? And I said, I don't know what I can tell him, but yeah, I'm good at drinking beer. I'll do that. And so it was Luke Combs. And we go down to Broadway Brew House in Midtown, and we're eating jerk chicken, and Combs is asking me questions. And I guess I was focused more on that jerk chicken, and he was thinking about taking over the world, because he did. And then a couple years later,
he was asking you during that dinner.
Well, I think it was more. I can't remember specifically, but like one was like, Luke, like at the time, Luke Bryan and Florida Georgia Line and several others were like just blowing up, and he was like, "Man, why? How hard do you think that is? It can't be that hard." I was like, "I don't know. It's not my trajectory. I don't think, but I don't see why you couldn't. I don't know." And so it was stuff that I really had no answers to, know, and I just didn't know anybody, and he knew my music, and maybe felt like he could trust me. And so, but I told him up front, I was like, I obviously have no answers. I've written a bunch of songs that have been recorded by a bunch of these artists, but I'm sitting here eating jerk chicken with you in Midtown, so I don't really know. I'm drinking.
And then so continue what you were going to say after that. I forgot.
Me and Dave got back together after 10 years and recorded Shine on Rainy Day. I was in Manhattan, was negotiating my record deal with Elektra, and by myself, no management or anything. And I was at the hotel, and Luke Combs he texted me his SoundCloud link to that album that had Hurricane on it, and the first one that like just blew. And I was like, you show me yours, I'll show you mine. And so I sent him Shine on Rainy Day SoundCloud link.
Oh my God.
And of course he became this mega superstar. I got nominated for a Grammy, but
that's what I'm talking about, Brent.
So, you know,
what
you
do you
never
say?
know, man.
What do you say? What do you say about the record?
Well, he loved it, man. Well, see, that's the thing is like, it is cool always to see these full circle moments. I've had a lot of this like serendipitous shit happen over my life and career, and Luke remembered me being willing to just hang out with him early on, which is why years later he offered me this stadium tour that he's now on, you know. And it's a little shit like that, man. But like those stadium tours compared to, so we did 16 or 26 stadium tours or something like that, and we played real early. The walk-in on those tours was 20,000 people. When we'd hit the stage, 20,000 people would have already walked in the building, which is insane when you compare it to like the Stapleton, those 3 years with Stapleton, 20,000 to 30,000 was capacity.
Yeah.
So when we were opening on these Combs shit, we were playing for the capacity amount of crowd on those Stapleton tours.
God, was it?
And crazier is in the middle of the Combs stuff, I went out and would open for my brothers, Whiskey Myers, who I've known forever, written a bunch of songs that they've been gracious enough to record. But we did like 5 shows with them, and those 5 shows, they've come a long way. They're playing like 5,000 seaters, playing sheds.
They're playing sheds.
Yeah. But I would sell more merch and get more fans from those 5 shows than I did all 26 stadium shows.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
And I think it's part of the demographic of country radio listeners. They're not, if they're not familiar with an artist, a lot of the time they don't know them, and so they're not. I don't know why that's that way, but that's how it is. And but then with like Whiskey Myers, they're a group that people feel like they sought out and discovered on their own. And that demographic is more, they seem to be more open to, like, they want to discover stuff themselves. They don't want people to tell them what to listen to. And I think that's one of the things. I think another thing is just a huge venue, and people are just getting when we're playing, and they're trying to go get a beer at the beer line. And then it's hard to, in those huge stadiums, to tell somebody where merch is going to be because it's massive. And,
I didn't even think about that. That's fucked up. Yeah, we're in section 234, I think, tonight. Or we're actually in section 118, the merch.
It's going to take me 30 minutes to get over there, but if you'll meet me there, and if you still have any money after buying $35
beers,
Miller Lights, I'll see you there.
Yeah, and it's crazy because it's like you probably only get one merch table when those guys will get like 6 of them, right?
Well, they gave us like 3 or 4 stations, but the difference is at the whiskey shows or those size shows, there's only one merch table.
Yeah.
Where at and it's a huge help, to go out, because I always go out. I go out to the merch after every show I do and meet the people. People want to hang out and have a beer with you, and I want to meet them and hang out, have a beer, and so just not able to do that on the stadium size venues.
Yeah. Wild shit. I don't think I didn't forget about you negotiating your own fucking deal with Elektra, because I definitely want to talk about that. What was that? Was that intimidating? Like, what the fuck, Brent? You just rolled in there, just dick out, just like, let's go.
I had at the time I had worked with 3 other managers, during my career, and I don't like managers a lot of the time. My last couple I've gotten along with, and I've learned a lot from, and my current management team are fucking awesome. No, they really are awesome.
I hear you, bro.
Okay, they really are awesome.
Yeah.
But so this go around, I just didn't want to fucking fool with it. I didn't, I'm just like giving all kind of inside secrets. But like management, if they come in and negotiate, it's a double-edged sword, because they can get you a better deal. Which I don't like that. I don't like that just because somebody comes in, you're gonna get. So you weren't gonna treat me fairly until I had another motherfucker in here to talk for me.
I hate that shit, dude. My pet peeve.
Yeah, and then if a manager comes in, and I was meeting with managers, but I don't know. I did not plan to make another album. And but if a manager comes in, even if you're halfway through a negotiation period of a new deal, they're going to take 20% of that signing bonus. I needed that fucking signing bonus because I just had a kid, you know. And so, yeah, it was intimidating to be in Manhattan and, hanging out with the head of Elektra and Atlantic. And, but it had to be done. And I have a good attorney that I've worked with since the beginning of my career. And, so they had my back. But, yeah, it was a little intimidating. And luckily, I will say that Greg Nadell, who was and I suppose he still is, the head of Elektra at the time, was a good person. And he at least treated me fairly. And, yeah.
Did they drop you, or are you still with them?
They dropped me. But so we did Shine on Rainy Day, and we did Providence Canyon 2018. And then in 2019, I was in a co-write, and I get a call from Greg. This is what I mean by he treated me fairly. He calls me and he says, "Man, I was just talking to our accountant, and my heart tells me we should keep you forever. My accountant says we should probably drop you." And all right, well, and I can't argue with you there. And but he said, "It's up to you, though, man. If you want to stay, I'll keep working with you and keep pushing. But if you want to go, I'll let you go clean slate." And he could have enforced the sunset clause.
Yeah.
And kept, what is the perpetuality through all the universe or whatever the fuck ever for like 5 more years. But he was, a fair and kind person, and they kept the masters to Shine On and Providence Canyon. But I didn't owe him anything else in the future. And I got lucky because that following year was the year that I was gonna have to start kicking in that 360 money and writing checks I could not afford.
Right.
And so he really did me a solid and let me in. So and right after that, that's when I launched Old Buddy, my own independent label, through 30 Tigers.
That's awesome, man. I mean, like you say, you go back to like all these like serendipitous moments. Like, maybe did you had a feeling they were going to drop you, or like what, did it just come out of the blue? Or
it came out of the blue because we were in the middle of our 3rd tour with Chris Stapleton,
right.
And we going to gear up to make another album, and so it was kind of out of the blue. But I get it too, I get it when somebody calls me like that, and it was him, and it wasn't like a representative, and it wasn't, it didn't get fucking weird. He was straight up, and I talk to Greg here and there.
Yeah.
We'll work together again someday. So it was cool as shit.
I love you. Perfect. So first I want to talk about Shine on Rainy Day. So when you got the Grammy nomination and you're competing against Jason Isbell, was it competitive? Is it like, how were you guys not talking to each other? Is he a competitive dude? Are you a competitive dude? Or it was like, did you already feeling?
Well, Jason and Amanda were sitting right behind me and my wife at the Grammys, and all me and Lane cared about, we just wanted to go fucking smoke a cigarette somewhere. And it just so happened that year the Grammys were in New York, and they were at Madison Square Garden, and you cannot smoke anywhere in Madison Square Garden.
At least Staples Center,
and
they had that outside area. But
then you can't come back.
Oh yeah.
And so we sat there for a while, and you kind of like, because Greg Allman posthumously was also nominated for the Grammy, and I can't remember who else, but man, it was my first rodeo on that, and so I didn't really care. And Isabel is much more of a sports fan than I am too, so he's more competitive. I just care about smoking a cigarette, and so
I feel you, bro. Me too.
I was happy to be nominated at all, and honestly, once he got it, I rolled out. Me and Lane we went outside and smoked a cigarette, and we were like, fuck all this. And we went to the hotel, and we watched the rest of the Grammys from the hotel in our underwear, and we smoked cigarettes and drank beer.
What was it like when you first got the nomination? Did you feel like this weight was off your shoulder that you're getting love, or?
Man, I don't know. Yes and no, but I just had not planned on anything. Really, I honestly, when we made Shine on Rainy Day, that was not a part of any plan, and I just had no expectations. And so anything that happened after that was it was just a little icing on whatever layer of cake had been laid down.
Right. You talk about, first I want to talk about my favorite song of yours of that got me through not quitting my band and not quitting life was Keep 'Em on Your Toes. What were you going through in that song? That song is so fucking powerful, man.
Well, thanks. It was a little bit of that, a little bit of once you've done something for so fucking long.
Right.
And sometimes I feel a little bit like Little Richard. Like Little Richard, his whole career, he would tell the same truth over and over again. He'd go, I am the architect of rock and roll. Otis Redding sang in my backup band. James Brown sang in my backup band. Jimi Hendrix played guitar in my band. Like, I fucking did all this shit, and I think his whole career, like, people would judge him and just kind of shrug him off. Even now, like, people are just like, oh, that's old James just talking that shit. And so when I wrote Keep 'Em on Their Toes, I feel the same way sometimes. I'm like, fuck, man. I've seen so many people come open for me that I'm proud. And like Little Richard was proud that Otis. I mean, he's proud of everybody, but he's also going, what the fuck, man? Where's my damn flowers?
Yeah.
It was I'm perpetually a little frustrated with the way my career has played out. But at that time, my son had just been born, and we had just moved back to Georgia. And so I'm in between Georgia and Nashville every week to get in the van or the bus or whatever it is to go on tour. And then I'm also thinking about, welcome to the world, son. And it's part therapeutic for me as well. It's like I really have no control over any of this, and so the best thing I can do is trust myself and fuck everybody else. And I know what I've done, and yeah, that's what was going on. And so the best way to articulate that emotion was keep them on their toes, baby. I'm gonna do what I do, and everybody else should too, because that's the other thing nowadays, man. And during that time, like social media, all you see, it's kind of like, you remember Bruce Almighty, Jim Carrey, and when he starts getting all these prayers, and he's like, what the fuck am I doing with all these prayers? And so he creates the prayer, you've got prayers. And so all the prayers come into his email. Well, that's how social media is. I feel like you see everybody's internal thoughts all the time. And most of the time it's people just bitching about everything.
Right.
And I feel like we all get to see that now. And so if everybody's worried about everything all the time, then I at least want to be one voice of no expectations except for you to just do what the fuck you know you're supposed to do. And that is keep on the toes.
Who's that person for you to lift you up when you're feeling that low on the road?
My wife really helps me. I think I help her. I probably like stress her out being gone all the time and help her too at the same time. But used to be my buddy Rowdy, Jason Cope, who passed away in 2021. He started the Steelwoods. He's like my older brother, my mentor. He's 8 years older than me. When I started going to LA, I would stay out Rowdy's place. But when he died, I mean, before he died, we would he was the only person that I knew that I could you can't call up somebody back home and be like bitching about fucking touring for a living. And
yeah, you can't do that.
So, but like Rowdy, he would get the little things that are, justifiably bitch worthy. And so, like Rowdy, I'd call him. I still call it my dad, on certain things, and my mom. And but yeah.
How hard
that's
is
probably
it
I'm
when
gonna call
died?
you.
Yeah, you better call me, Brent. I'm in. I'll bitch with you all the time, bro. I'm jaded as fuck, dude.
Come on.
How hard was it when your best friend died?
It still is hard, man. It's again, people have lost, closer people, but Rowd was like he was the first friend in my life inside the bigger world, like that wasn't from where I was from. And he like taught me how to, grow up a little bit. He taught me how to grocery shop, out there, and taught me how to fucking do coin laundry and really made me study. Yeah, he made me study songwriting and songs and stuff, and just and it wasn't like he was intentionally teaching me how to do these things. It's just I was just with him while he was going about his daily routines, and so it was he's like that person that in your life that you're like, I may not even noticed it at the time, but then later you go, fuck, every little thing I do in my life now, I will go. Or if I have a question about something, I'm like, what? I wonder what Rowdy would say about this. And so every moment, every day, it fucking sucks. There are worse things that could happen, but it is just like, fuck, man. I saw somebody made a post the other day, and so I commented under a post that was about grievance, however you say that. And it was grief is love with nowhere to go, which seemed so on point. Like it is like
that's heavy.
I have all this love for my homie, but I can't call him up and be like, hey, motherfucker, I love you. So it's like, God, that's what grief is. It's like love with nowhere to go,
Do you feel like he talks to you sometimes still? Do you believe in that stuff?
In ways, yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Southern Star album. So when I moved to Nashville in March of 2008, and then he was still living in LA, but he had just started touring with Jamie Johnson. He was Jamie's guitar player for like 6 or 7 years. And when he moved to town, he moved like 45 minutes outside of town. And I'd go down there, this is like 2009, 10, 11, 12, and we'd go to this bar called the Southern Star. And right before the theme and the concept and all the songs started to reveal themselves for the album Southern Star, I had just gotten off a run of shows, and I was on the way back home, which is normally when I would call Rab. And I was just so happened to be going down past his old exit. And I was thinking about those times. I was thinking about that bar, the Southern Star, and I was like, shit, man, I wonder if it's still there. And so I pulled off and found it, and it is still there. It's not called the Southern Star anymore. It's called something different. And they have a whole wall. The back wall is all these pictures of all these old patrons and all the people that worked. Like it was seedy as shit. Like it was like not a fucking, you could go do anything at this bar. And but they, like, everybody I knew from back then is dead now. And on their wall they have all their old pictures back there, and they have the old Southern Star logo back there. And so, like, little things like that, or like when we went in the last day of recording Southern Star at Capricorn and Macon, I didn't know, like, we had 9 songs recorded, and I was like, I couldn't think of the other song, and it wouldn't fall out of the sky. And so I was like, well, maybe it's just a 9-song album. And I was getting ready to go in the studio, and out of the blue, like, everything was good, I just got super emotional. And I was thinking about Rowd, and then I started thinking about this song from this artist, Sally J, who Rowdy was playing with back in those days, and she was from Cartersville, Georgia. And like, my first trip out there, I was too young to be in the bars, and in order for me to get them to get me into the Hotel Cafe, which was her showcase, Sally J's showcase, for this album Amarillo, I sold her merch that night, and she had a song on that album that is called Miss Ader, so it's called Miss Ader. I'm having that emotional moment, present time, recording Southern Star. I'm thinking about all those days, and I'm like, fuck, man. During that time, Rowdy, Sally's mom, I was so homesick. Sally's mom was country as shit from Sylvester, Georgia. And she invited us all over to, like, she cooked this huge Southern meal spread of, like, fried chicken and mashed potatoes and gravy and collard greens and stuff. And it was such a guiding light for me in a time of darkness that I was like, it was like a Southern Star, And so that last day I get emotional, and it hits me that's the 10th song. I got to record that Sally song. And so on the way into the studio, I'm on Riverside Drive. It's on a Sunday. And so there's nobody out because everybody's at church in the South. And hovering over the middle of the road, Riverside Drive, is a fucking balloon that is a star balloon. And it's just like hovering over the road. And I was like, thanks, Rowd. Like, I knew, immediately. It's like, that's for sure what it has to be.
Yeah.
So little things like that, they'll communicate with him.
Do you feel like sometimes, like, when you're writing a record and, like you say, it's like some songs just come out of the ether? Is it like an open vessel for you? Sometimes that vessel's not open, or?
Well, I'll say like this. My first cut I got as a songwriter, I used to wonder, it's this 2008, and there was a song that I had written when I was 17 called Hold Me Closely, this sort of a spiritual gospel type song. And it had fallen out of the sky. I wrote it in like 20, 30 minutes. And the Oak Ridge Boys were recording it. And Dave had flown in to produce this Oak Ridge Boys album. The Boys Are Back. And we're in the studio, and Jamie Johnson comes by the studio. Miss Jessie Coulter, Waylon's widow, comes by the studio, and she's playing keys on this song that I had written. And it's the first time I meet Miss Jessie. And I say to her, right at that time, I couldn't fucking write anything. I don't know what was going on. And I was explaining to her that situation. And it's like, Miss Jessie, I don't know what to do. I moved here to write, and I just can't write anything that feels like it's worth anything. And she looked at me and she said, well, honey, right now you're living, so just live, and the songs will come. And that's what I always try to do anytime they're not falling out of the sky.
Fuck Brent motherfucking Cobb, dude. Let's go. It's my guy. It's my fucking guy.
Yeah.
You have to live to write.
Yeah.
You have to live to write.
Yeah.
So, like, while you're living, do you feel like touring is not living to you? Because you seem like you're most depressed when you're on the road.
Well, if I'm moving, I'm all right. Only reason I get any depressed on the road is just because I feel like I'm not being a present father and husband.
Right.
But I also know that I'm doing what I'm meant to do. Really, the only time I get like really for real depressed is like not here talking to you, but the moment we get off of this evening, when I get done with these interviews, I'll be sitting here at this little apartment and be going, what the fuck am I doing, man? It'd get dark around here, you know?
I bet,
And
man.
so, but that's really, I mean, if I'm not in motion, I've always been that way. Even as a kid, I would, I mean, this is a kid, I would say like, I just feel like I have no purpose, you know, and what am I doing? Like, so I don't know. I might just be wired different, but
I'm like that too, man. I mean, that's why we're so attracted to this this life, this music life, because when I'm standing still, I'm depressed. Or if I'm by myself in my, it's like, what the fuck? And like, you can't tell that to normal people who just
right. Well, that, and it's weird because sometimes all I think I want to do is like, fuck, I just need a day to do nothing and be around nobody.
Yeah.
And then the moment I get of doing nothing and being around nobody, I'm like, fuck, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
You know? So,
do you suppress that anxiety with drinking? That's what I do.
Probably.
Yeah.
You know, I started drinking real young. And I always say I'm not, other than those moments, I'm typically happy. I don't drink to make myself happy. I'm already happy. Sometimes I like to feel a little bit better.
Right.
And so, but maybe it is. Maybe there is something more going on in there. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you feel like you have to surround yourself with a bunch of people to feel less that anxiety, that bear, that wet blanket or whatever you say?
Sometimes yes, and sometimes no.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't know. You know, it's funny you bring it all up though, because I think about it all the time, like every second of every day. Like, what is the thing that makes me tick or not? And yeah, I think it has to be the balance of it all. That like I have to get frustrated with having too much to do in order to then have nothing to do and get frustrated about that too. And so a lot of times,
So true.
I chalk that up to like, well, man, maybe it's just that is my balance. It's like I have to have it all I have to have all and nothing at the same time in order to just keep being. And you know, this is it's just my lot. That's my lot in life, I suppose.
Do you think family saved your life?
Having kids, for sure.
Yeah.
Man, for sure. I don't want to get like dark or anything, but and you know, I haven't ever really said this, but like, if I didn't have kids, there would be a reason for me to not just check the fuck out sometimes.
Yeah, I hear you.
Other than I've taught my cousin, who's like my best friend, he's like my brother. He had a fucked up life, and we just always have looked out for each other. He's with me on the road now. He's been selling merch with me for the past 5 years. But a few years back, I asked him one night, we were just hanging out on the balcony, having a cigarette. And I was like, man, sometimes I go, what is the purpose of even being here? You know, like sometimes I'm just bored. Sometimes it's just like, man, I just wonder what's on the other side. And, but I asked him, it's like, what keeps you from like checking out sometimes? And he goes, well, he sits there for a second, he takes a drag, and he's like, I don't know, man. It's like, it's not my life. I didn't give myself this life, and so it's not really my life to take. And I was like, fuck. All right, you're right. You know, whether you're religious or anything, that's true. None of us like gave ourselves this life. We're just kind of fucking here. So, yeah, I mean, my kids and that bit of wisdom from Danny Boy, like, you know, I definitely, it makes me, when I am in those moments of like, I'm just fucking bored.
Yeah.
Then I do try to just take a step back and go, I'm going to just experience it, I guess. I'm just going to fucking go through it, whatever it is.
Yeah. I mean, we can't always have super high adrenaline lifestyles. We need to know we need to have that boredom in our life to fight through it, you know, to see what we want as well, you know?
Well, isn't that a thing too? Where think about everybody's stimulated all the time, you know, their mind anyway, of like scrolling
Right.
through, and your mind just like we don't have that moment of when we were kids. Like you just be bored sometimes. There was nothing else to do, and so your mind would wander, you know, naturally. And you know you can see like like people will post clips from like class of '04, you know, and everybody always comments under those kind of old videos. They're like, man, everybody seems so happy.
Yeah.
And we know that was the truth, but also there was a little bit of like, it does seem like there was a more pure, slight happiness from those days. And I wonder if, because sometimes you just had to be lonely and you had to live in it back then. You couldn't trick your brain into thinking that you were in touch with anybody,
Exactly.
which is now it is.
Yeah, it's exactly like right when we feel that minute of anxiousness, we pull out our phone and scroll through everyone's happiness. We didn't have that.
Did not have that. You just had to fucking dive in. You just had to be lonely.
It's like, welcome home, bro. They're going to be here for a couple minutes.
You have no friends, and you're not going to get in touch with them.
I know.
And you got to live.
Yeah. I get it, man. Brent Cobb, this has been amazing. We got to do another round of this one time. I'm going to come to Nashville. Let's write a tune together. I know. Let's hang out. Let's have some beers. We have so many mutual friends, man. We got to really do it.
I'm about it, man. Really.
Yeah.
And
I get you.
Where are you? Are you in LA? Where are you?
I live in Denver, but I'm also like, I spend most of my time in Nashville when I'm not in Denver.
Yeah.
You know, I hang out, Vince Herman,
Yeah.
Gelbuta, Chris Gelbuta, and all that whole crew. And those are my people, man. So I always go right with them every time I have a chance.
I'd love to. We did that jam in Vince's backyard, a year or so ago. God, it was so cool. Vince was just like on the upright bass, and what that's good people right there.
That's one of the beautiful things about Nashville is all these guys coming and doing the picks at Vince's house, and like that's the shit where like you come back to, after all those fucking.
It makes me feel better knowing that stuff it does still exist. Sometimes when you come to this town nowadays, because I caught like the tail end, of the old Nashville, you could still pull up at the Ryman, you could park at the Ryman when the security guard and shit, and a lot of that's been lost. But Vince, and there's a handful of folks that's still keeping it real like that, where it's a community and it's like true, pure fucking friendships, and I'm thankful for that kind of stuff.
Kind of reminds me like old Nashville, new Nashville, your new record, and now let's turn the page. Now it's turning into this new fucking Nashville. It's pretty wild, dude.
What it is, man. I mean, here we are. I used to, right now, my view. So me and Adam Hood and Randy Rogers share this apartment right on Music Row that it used to be Randy and Wade Bowen's, and Wade got out. And then it was this kind of place that, like, in 2007, it was probably really nice. But we out my view, it was the last view down here, like on Music Road, that didn't have, like so much construction and all the bullshit popping up. But now, of course, they've gotten a hold of it too. But
you can't get away from it, brother. You can't get away from it.
I know, man. I know.
Well, keep your head up. You're killing it. You're one of the goats to me. So keep doing it. Keep doing the Lord's work, and keep being a great dad, and keep being a great husband. My final question to you is, when it's all said and done, what do you want to be remembered by, Brent Cobb?
Just that I kept it real the whole damn time. Like that someday that I think about this, I've sort of come to terms sometimes with, like, I'm going to have a bit of a John Prine journey where he was not fully appreciated until the very end there. Yeah. And maybe appreciated enough then. But that someday when I'm almost at the end, I'll I'll nearly take my last breath, and finally everybody will go, you know, that Brent Cobb guy, he's pretty good the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
That's what I want. You know,
That's I think that with my career too. You know, I bust my ass doing 250 shows a year, just entertaining everybody, and I feel that the last week of my existence is where they finally give me my fucking flowers.
yeah. I mean, that's all I'm saying, man. Is like I intentionally am trying. I try to write my songs in a way that, like, you know, no, they may not be the number one thing on commercial radio, but fucking they can be enjoyed, you know.
Right.
And, I don't know, man.
Well,
cheers, though, brother.
cheers to you
I
too,
really
brother.
appreciate.
This was nice, man. I'll Instagram you my number. Let's keep in touch, bro. You got a friend of me whenever you need it.
Cheers. Same.
Good luck,
Thanks,
brother.
man.
Have a great day.
Yes. Y'all take care.
Later, bud. Fucking Brent Cobb, dude. Let's go. That was sick.